Do you need a pump for your new pond? Someone did a survey on my Facebook group called Building Natural Ponds, and they asked that specific question. 67% of the people said no, you do not need a pump. Now, if this question had been asked on a different Facebook group, say one that specialized in koi, I'm sure the answer would have been quite different. Most of those people think you do need to have a pump. Do you need a pump? There is no right answer. It really depends on your goals for that pond. Many ponds do not need a pump. In this video, I'm going to go through 6 key goals. I'm going to ask you those questions. Depending on the answers you give, you will know whether or not you need a pump. Before I discuss the goals, let's clear up one other thing. Do you need a pump or a filter system, or both? Well, you can't really have a filter system without the pump, so they kind of go together. What I would do is first decide if you need the pump, and if you do need a pump, then you have a variety of options for filtering systems. They can be natural bogs or mechanical systems. There are lots of options, but the first decision you need to make is, do I need a pump? Goal number 1, do you want a waterfall? I'm sitting in front of this large man-made pond with a really beautiful waterfall. Now you can have a large waterfall or a small waterfall, but if you want water trickling down into your pond, you need a pump to move the water up so that it can trickle down. It's as simple as that. The next question to ask yourself is, do I want fish? And how many fish do I want? If you're building a pond mostly to house your fish, and you're going to have lots of fish in there, it means you're going to have too many fish for the water, you need a pump. You're going to feed those fish are going to poop a lot, you need to clean that water, and you need a pump. And this is true for most people who have koi in their ponds. They like the fish more than the pond, and they want to take care of those fish. They want to see the fish, and they want them to grow nice and large and fill the pond. That kind of a pond has too many fish in there. Or in actual fact, it's too much body length, not the number of fish. But there's too much fish mass in there, and it's going to produce a lot of waste. The only way to clean that water is with a pump. Now the alternative is no fish at all. Just have a wildlife pond with frogs and dragonflies. Or many people put in some fish, a few smaller fish, a few goldfish, a few minnows. Provided you keep the number of fish low enough and you don't feed them, they're not going to produce enough waste that you need a whole filtration system, which means you don't need the pump. So decide on how many fish you want. Next question to ask yourself is, do you want plants in this pond? If the answer is no, you're not a plant person, you're really just interested in the fish in the water, well, you need a pump to clean that water. On the other hand, you might like a natural pond. You like it full of plants around the outside. You might actually be a gardener and you love the plants. If you're willing to put enough plants in your pond, the plants will clean the water, and then you don't need a pump. The fourth question to ask yourself is, how clean do I want this water? Let's go back to the koi person. They like to see their fish. They want their water crystal clear so that they can see the fish clearly. Other people, they like a clear pond too. They don't want a lot of floating algae, but they don't mind if it's colored a little bit. I mean, my ponds are 4 feet deep, and I have no trouble seeing the bottom of those ponds. But if I take a scoop of water out there, it does have a bit of a greenish, brownish sheen to it. It's not crystal clear. It looks much more like a natural pond. Remember those lakes you used to go swimming in? Well, they're not crystal clear, but they are pretty clean. If you want a crystal clear pond, you're probably going to need a pump and filter system. If you're willing to live with a bit of coloration, you don't need a pump. Do you want a pond that looks like it's man-made, or do you want a natural-looking pond? If you're willing to go the route of a natural pond, you're going to see a little bit of algae once in a while. You're going to have lots of plants in there. You're going to have frogs and dragonflies and insects floating around that water. Then you don't need a pump. And by the way, when I say insects, I'm not talking about mosquito larvae. Those are easily cleaned up with the frogs and the dragonfly nymphs and a few goldfish. So if you want to go natural, you don't need a pump. Last question is cost and trouble of maintenance. Do you want to be bothered with a pump? Do you have electricity running to your pond? Do you want to pay for a pump and then maintain that pump? In a cold climate, you probably want to bring that pump indoors, or you have to run it all winter long. Now, I don't leave my pump outside because it was just too expensive, and if we ever have a power failure, that pump will stop working and freeze up, and that'll be the end of the pump. So I bring it inside. That's extra work. Do you want that, or do you want a simple pond that you can simply enjoy? Lower cost, less maintenance, less work means no pump. Now, there's a lot of people out there that will tell you you need a pump no matter what kind of pond you put in. But those people have read information from years ago when people didn't know better. When I built my first pond 18 years ago, I was told that same information. But I didn't believe people. So I built a natural pond with no pump, no filter, no chemicals, and it works great. The water's clear. I can see 4 feet to the bottom. I have turtles and frogs and dragonflies. And I have lots of plants. Don't believe people who tell you that you need a pump. On the other hand, there are some good reasons for having a pump, which we've discussed in this video. Those are the 6 key goals you have to consider. You can now decide if you want a pump or not. You might be able to change your goals a little bit, and you won't need to trouble yourself with the cost and problems of having a pond pump. If you want to learn more about building natural ponds, hop on over to my Facebook group. We have a whole group of people there who specialize in building ponds without pumps. And you'll see lots and lots of examples of great looking ponds. Or have a look at this video. It'll give you the secrets for building a pond without a pump. Happy gardening!